Welcome back to the show. Really excited to now be joined by Dana Boyle of ACC Network and ESPN. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is great. I love football season.
It's about time for talking season to be over, and we will get you talking a little bit more before fall camp starts up for these ACC programs and around the country. But you were there for SMU's kind of entire run. You saw different bits and pieces of that 2024 season. Let's go back to one of the biggest decisions of Rhett Lashlee's young head coaching career. He makes a move to go with Kevin Jennings. You guys were on the ground there. Take us back to what that was like to cover and how it ultimately unfolded from your eyes.
Well, I think Rhett Lashlee, the head coach, handled it as best as anybody could. I think being a former student athlete, that's a delicate conversation you have to have. And Preston Stone is a great kid, and he's a great quarterback. And I think the move to Kevin Jennings, could have gone one or two ways. Preston Stone could have easily folded up his chair and said, I'm done and I'm not going to help the team. But he was such a consummate pro that I think that starts from head coach Rhett Lashlee. And you saw what Kevin Jennings did on the field. I mean, he's dynamic. He can run. He can throw the ball, unorthodox things in so many ways. So the switch obviously lent them to have a really successful season. But I don't think Kevin Jennings would have been as successful if Preston Stone wasn't fully on board. So I applaud both of them for that kind of effort.
And that quarterback situation was almost a microcosm of the culture at SMU that Rhett Lashlee has took his time in building. So what can you say, and how important do you think it is nowadays with the transfer portal and all these moving parts to try and have a steady culture in a football program?
I think it's really difficult. I mean, almost in some ways impossible, but I think from the various sports that I cover, it starts with the relationship piece. And if you don't have the relationship with your student athletes, you will not be getting the most out of them. And I think Rhett Lashlee and company and his staff, just from spending so much time around their program, we would joke that we're their traveling crew. We had them 3 or 4 weeks in a row. You see what they're able to do in developing relationships, and you can't fake that kind of stuff when you're around the program as much as we were. So I have a lot of respect for Rhett Lashlee and how he runs his program, as a human being first, and then as a coach second. I think that makes the biggest difference. And you don't see the production on the field if you don't have those relationships. We've all been a part of different sports teams. You can have the best talent on paper, but are you developing that talent? How are you developing that talent? It's not just in the weight room and on the practice field. It's off the field most of the time. So I think the culture of SMU is really strong.
You saw Kevin Jennings do some dynamic things out there. That would lead to plenty of fanfare around the program, the crowd starting to sell out Ford Stadium. The atmosphere, like we were talking about before we got on the air, so to speak, you weren't there before, and it was kind of sad at times, but it turned into an incredible environment for late in the season with some of those key games as well.
It's a small, intimate setting, and that's something that I've been a part of. I played lacrosse at UVA, so I've covered non-revenue generating sports, and I was so surprised to see how much the crowd played into the momentum of the SMU football team. And you're really up close and personal. It is really intimate. The fans are on top of you. I mean, at one point, there's some Coors Light cans being thrown on the field. I mean, everybody was having a good time, but the atmosphere, I really walked away from the Boulevard. Is that what it's called? Yeah. I didn't have a chance to participate in the Boulevard, but I did make sure I went out pregame. I mean, it was packed. The resurgence of fans. SMU is back, and they have been for a few years, but what Rhett Lashlee has done, with the winning season, I think is only going to go up from there.
And I know ACC Huddle announced their first 3 locations for the upcoming season, but how exciting is it to have this many big-time out-of-conference games, whether it be SEC versus ACC or Big Ten, or just these big, exciting games at the beginning of the season?
I think Commissioner Phillips, in his opening forum, said it best. The ACC is putting their cards on the table, and they're going to play the best competition, and the ACC deserves to be in those conversations, and I think you're going to start seeing that when you're playing, the best teams in the country. It's funny listening and reading some of the preseason notes about, SMU, and they're like, is it a fluke? And you heard Kevin Jennings today say, it's not a fluke. We are here to stay. We're the real deal. What else do they have to do besides make the college football playoff to prove? So I think specifically when you look at SMU, they've got a chip on their shoulder in that regard, and I think they're going to be put to the test. They play Clemson this year. They play Louisville. They play Miami. They missed those teams last year, so I think this will be good for them. Maybe proving to the rest of the world what we already believe.
Yeah, especially that Louisville-Miami duo there. They get them at home, but then they got to go on the road and play at Death Valley. As somebody who's been there, and we can obviously, I'm sure there'll be a lot of debate between Death Valley this versus Death Valley that, but it is still one of the best environments in college football they'll have to conquer.
I went there for the first time last year at night. It's a challenging environment to play in. Like, it was loud for me, and I usually wear double earpieces that block out the noise, and I had trouble hearing the broadcast. But it's an unreal environment, and again, it's you go on the road, you're in a big environment, and that's another test. So once you do that as a team, you're like, okay, we're here, we deserve to be here, and we were productive. I think that helps your confidence as a team and as a program, and again, proving to the rest of the world what you guys probably already know about SMU.
We've talked about the environment at SMU and at Clemson. Just in general, what are some of your other favorite venues in the ACC?
We did a game at Boston College. They played Michigan State. It was the red bandana game, and if you're familiar or you're not familiar with Wells Crowther, 9/11, he went back up in the tower to save, his fellow coworkers, and I got to be a part of the red bandana game at Boston College, and as a former lacrosse player, that was so rewarding for me. And it was raining, freezing cold, obviously, in the Northeast. That's why I don't live there anymore. And they ended up coming back with a last-minute play in the final 2 minutes, and they won the game, and the fans stormed the field. And you could just feel the spirit of Wells Crowther. Bill O'Brien, I'm a longtime Patriots fan. I grew up in New England. I didn't have a choice. So to be able to interview him in that moment was really special, and one that I'll never forget.
I believe SMU gets the red bandana game this year as well, so maybe we'll see you up there again, and we appreciate you stopping by with us on the Pony Express podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys.